time I want to talk about certain things in more detail. One of them being Genie Plus. This is something that I feel people are really confused about, and I definitely was before I went, and so I kind of wanted to touch on a few different things in more detail, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is Genie Plus. So, Genie Plus the Genie app has about 3 different sites. So the Disney Genie app is free to use. So with the wait times and the planning of your day and things like that, that is totally free to use. So then there's Genie Plus. Genie Plus you can purchase per person per day. I think it's $15 plus tax per person per day. And in that is when you book your slots for what's available throughout the day. So you can book your first one at 7 a.m. And then after that, I think it's after 9 o'clock when the park opens, it's then every 2 hours, or once you have used one of your passes, one of your Genie Pluses, whatever comes first. So that's the confusing bit. I think because you've got 2 options here, you can either, so I've seen people do it 2 ways. You can either bank them all for later in the day, so you can go on and you do one at 7 and then one at 11 and then one at 1 and one at 3, and you can book them all really close together. The issue with that being is that you have to wait every 2 hours because you're not using them. So the way we did it was we were booking them as soon as they were coming up. So before we were even off one of the rides, as soon as we had tapped in, so when we tapped in for Haunted Mansion, that was like the second Genie Plus we'd done. When we were waiting in the line to get into the stretching room, I had booked our next one because we technically used it because we tapped in already. So then I was already booked for the next one. And we did that, and we had about 6 done by about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The only thing that worries you about that is some of them go quicker than others. So obviously they go in time order. So if sometimes I was going on and Space Mountain wasn't available until 6 o'clock, and then the next time I was available, it wasn't on until 8 o'clock. So if you want to get with some of the busier ones that will run out quicker, you have to book them later in the day. And then therefore you have to then wait the 2 hour slot. So we did that for a couple of things. We booked Jungle Cruise really late in the day because that's one that fills up really fast because it's a low capacity ride. So we booked Jungle Cruise pretty early in the day, and then that meant that we had to wait the 2 hours before booking another one. But then what we used with that one was we just then kept using it and then booking it as soon as we used it. It sounds complicated, but when you actually start using it, it's really good. And for our Magic Kingdom day, it was really, really, really worth it. And everybody said Magic Kingdom's definitely the one that's worth using in. I wouldn't have used it in Animal Kingdom. Our day was not really overly affected by not using it at all. And the same with Epcot. Maybe if I'd known how to use it a bit better in Hollywood Studios, I might have gotten a couple more extra in there. But overall, we're happy with the fact that we managed to get 4. So it's a lot of fiddliness, but it is really worth it when you get to use it. I get if there's big family, 15-person, people per head per day is a lot. I would only recommend using it if, for UK people, we're usually there for 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't have just one day Magic Kingdom, just one day in Animal Kingdom, Usually we have multiple days in multiple parks, so it's not that pressing. On a trip like the one I did, and I was only in Magic Kingdom for 1 day, and I was only in Hollywood Studios for 1 day, using those to get all the attractions done in that 1 day was really useful. What you can also do is you can park hop. So you can buy it $15 per person per day. But if you want to get half your day in Animal Kingdom and half your day in Epcot, which might be better use, you could probably get more attractions in that way, as long as you park up after 2 p.m, which is the rules at the moment. So definitely worth looking into, worth knowing exactly what you want to do. If you're wanting to do the early in the morning one and doing it that way, or banking it later in the day. But honestly, I went in really skeptical about it and came out thinking actually it was really worth the money and really worth the effort getting to use it, because it made our day so much seamless when we were actually using it. So big thumbs up for Genie Plus actually, which is not something I expected that I was going to say, but yeah, definitely worth using 100%. In the same kind of thread, a lot of the other parks also have express passes. So I think people were shocked that Disney had brought out a paid kind of fast pass service when really all the other parks in Orlando are doing the same. So Universal and Islands of Adventure, they have express pass. Now I believe that that changes cost per day, kind of similar to the individual line lanes at Disney, where some days they'll be $15 or $11, but some days they'll be $7 or $9. Universal's express passes are more expensive on the days they're busier, because obviously that's the days that people want to buy them. So that is a bit sneaky, but you know, they get why they do it. We had express passes in our day, and again, similar to Disney, if you're only doing one day in each park or both parks over one day, 100% worth it. It's also worth noting that Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure and Velocicoaster is not included in Universal's express passes, so you will need to wait on those regardless. So if it means that you then get to skip the line on every other attraction, you then can carve out an hour or 2 hours to be able to wait in those queues without having to sacrifice doing any of the other rides that you want to do. So again, really, really worth it. Then SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, they have quick queue. Again, you pay for that and you get to the front of all of those rides. So no other park is doing it really differently. The only thing with Disney is the booking system, whereas with SeaWorld and Universal, you can walk on any ride whenever, which is beneficial. I definitely feel like the express passes and quick queue that Universal, Busch Gardens and SeaWorld offer, if you're paying for them and being able to walk straight on, that is more beneficial than paying for something and then spending a good chunk of your day, but enough time scrolling your phone to be able to plan it out. So it's really what you're used to, but personally for me, I would always recommend going for an express pass, quick queue, or Genie Plus when you feel like it's relevant to the time on your trip. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about was the benefits that we had from being in a multi-location trip. So we were 7 days in our villa and then 4 different resorts. Technically 5, but that's a whole other story. 4 different resorts was what we had booked. So we did 4 nights at Universal, 3 nights at Universal, 4 nights at the Doubletree Hilton by SeaWorld, just off International Drive. Then we did 3 nights in a Tampa hotel, and then we did 4 nights at the Disney Resort. Now, as I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, we came home a day earlier from Tampa because we had that free day where we were at Clearwater, and we didn't really want to get up really early the next day and go straight to Animal Kingdom. So we actually managed to get into a Disney hotel the night before, so that we didn't need to drive really early in the morning, basically. So we were in French Quarter for 4 days, but we had that extra Riverside, Port Orleans for that extra night, so it did mean that we were in 5 resorts. The benefits of being in these resorts, I really think, are worth noting. So Disney and Universal, their resorts, you get into the parks either 30 minutes. Disney used to be an hour, but I think it's 30 minutes now, and Universal 30 minutes early. This is really beneficial, especially for certain rides, like with Universal, like Velocicoaster, and with Disney, Rise of the Resistance and all of these things. That 30 minutes really does make a difference. The other thing they both have in common is their transport. So they have exclusive free transport for the resort guests. Again, it means you're not paying for parking. It means you're not having to rush into your car. It means you can have a drink in the parks if you want to. And again, like totally free and totally exclusive to resort guests. So we really took advantage of this. We didn't really use the car the entire time we were at those resorts, which was really good. And yeah, just really being beneficial. Again, for having a Universal resort at City Walk, it meant that if I wanted to stay out with friends at City Walk at night, Mum could literally just get the bus back, and we weren't worried about one another because everything was really close together. So staying in resorts that are linked to the theme parks really do have their benefits, and if you can do them, again, I would totally recommend that is something that you guys do. Another thing I wanted to touch on was the kind of additional extras that a lot of people don't realize that you can buy at the parks. So every single thing I did on the trip is something that you can go and purchase yourself. I did not receive any special treatment for the role. Obviously, I didn't pay for anything, so everything to me was special treatment, but everything that I was offered on that trip is something that anyone else can go and book. So one of the main things was a lot of the animal encounters are paid extras. So with like Gatorland and Wild Florida, with the kind of meet the gator and feed the gators, those are paid extras. With Busch Gardens, when we did the VIP tour, we had our own safari, we met the tortoises, but we also did an up close encounter with the vets, and while they were doing, it was kind of like a procedure. I think they were just checking out, it was a little fox that had been abandoned, and we were actually in the room with them, and they actually like kind of held the little fox up to us, and we got to see what they were doing and ask questions. So you can go and stand on the other side of the glass as like as a guest in the park, but you can actually pay to go in and to be a part of it and to be able to ask questions and things like that at Busch Gardens. At SeaWorld, we had a dolphin encounter, a sea lion encounter, and an orca encounter. Again, these were all, you can all go and pay for these, and they were either before or after one of the shows that we went to. Unbelievable. I got to do signaling with all of them, so I got to make one of the sea lions kind of roar, like I did a motion, and it kind of reacted to that. And similar with the orcas, I think I did a dance and the orca stuck its tongue out and shook its tongue and things like that. Those are all things that you can pay to do, and they definitely make your day that little bit more special and that little bit more magical. So I highly recommend that as well. And then with Disney, you can do certain extra tours. So I know with Animal Kingdom, you can do the Wild Africa Trek. Was one of the best things that I did when I worked there. We didn't do it on this trip because it does take a good chunk out of your day. If we did it on this trip, I probably wouldn't have done half the rides that I did in Animal Kingdom. But again, it's another thing that you can add on. So always go and check out what are the additional extras you can add on to the trip, because I do think it really makes your trip just that extra bit special, and it really is worth the extra money. So the last thing I want to do is to thank everybody who gifted or sponsored or, you know, gave anything that was, you know, featured as part of the trip. Pretty much 90% of what I did was gifted to Ocean Florida for me to do this theme park tester role. So yeah, just unbelievable. And there's so many, so let me see if I can round them off. I feel like I'm accepting an Academy Award. So I just want to thank Wild Florida, Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures, Gatorland, Island H2O, Wonderworks, Fun Spot, Florida Aquarium, the Malmlina Styling Experience, Legoland, Universal team, so for Universal Islands Adventure and Volcano Bay, and really, really specifically, the SeaWorld Parks team. So that's SeaWorld, Aquatica, and Busch Gardens. Those 3 days were some of the best memories of that entire trip. They went above and beyond with everything they had planned for me on my Busch Gardens and my SeaWorld day. It was out of this world incredible. Getting to meet one of the project managers who'd worked on Icebreaker and getting to ask him some questions about the ride. As somebody who studied and did their dissertation on themed entertainment design, was amazing. I got to spend an hour with an animal care specialist at SeaWorld talking about the current animals they had in their care, how they'd rescue them, how they're caring for them, and how they're releasing them back into the wild. The encounters I had with all the animals across my Busch Gardens and my SeaWorld day was amazing. Orcas, dolphins, sea lions, giraffes, kangaroos, tortoises, just incredible once in a lifetime experiences. And so I just really, really, really want to thank them in particular, but as well as everybody else. That whole trip was so incredible, was so like speechless. Like, it was just one of the best things I will ever do. And then I just really wanted to thank Ocean Florida. Thank you for coming up with this idea 2 years ago. Thank you for selecting me out of 63,400 other people. Thank you for having the confidence in me that even after 2 years of COVID that I would be able to do this job. Thank you for being so supportive when I was over there and things might have been going wrong or I was stressing out about things on the run up to it, and all of those types of things. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I will never be able to put into words what this experience has meant to me. And also just thank you to everyone who's followed along for the last however long it's been, especially the people who have been here for 2 years and who every few months were messaging going, what's happening with Ocean Florida? Are you still doing your theme park tester thing? thank you to all of you guys and everybody that's messaged me and commented and shared things. Like, everything has been so appreciated, even if I haven't vocalized it. It was really nerve-wracking to know that I was putting things out that people were watching, and it was really great to know that actually people were enjoying it, and I wasn't just being cringe for no reason. So yeah, just thank you guys. I will never forget the last basically 2 years of my life, but specifically the last month or so. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed everything that I've put out. I'll probably be posting about it pretty much for the next like 7 years. Yeah, thanks.